Alright guys, welcome to a brand new video, and in today's video I'm talking about wrong update, my bad. Alright guys, welcome to a brand new video, and in today's video I'm talking about the Shadowkeep update that came out yesterday or 2 days ago, depending on when this video comes out. And I'm pretty much just going to be discussing my opinions on the hand cannon changes that were made and kind of just the PvP changes that were made in general, but kind of the main focus is going to be the hand cannon changes. Before I even start talking, I'm just going to let you know that this video is probably going to be 10 minutes. And if my commentary goes to 10 minutes, that's not me stretching it, because I just roll gameplay for 12 minutes anyways, because for some reason, I'm just trying it because someone told me that apparently YouTube loves 10-minute videos. So I'm just going to give you guys at least 10 minutes worth of gameplay. But moving on to the main topic, the topic that I'm here to discuss today is hand cannons, more particularly what they did to hand cannons with the release of Shadowkeep. So leading up to when Shadowkeep came out, hand cannons, in my opinion, were in a really good spot on PC. For the most part, they weren't completely broken and overpowered. I know that Last Word was really good, but you know, in general, they were in a good spot. They weren't the end all be all, but they also weren't a steaming pile of dog meat. And I was happy when I came back 2 to 3 months ago. Normally when I would come back to Destiny 2, I'd try it for 2 hours, say no thank you, and I'd return to Fortnite. But I pretty much stopped playing Fortnite for a whole month because I was so hooked on playing Destiny 2. So I really liked it. I really liked where they were at. On console, it's a little bit of a different story. I feel like they were a little bit subpar, even though I know that the Not Forgotten was a very good weapon on console. As a whole, hand cannons, as we would most likely recognize them, right? 140 RPM, 150 RPM, 110 RPM. They were not all that great on console. So when Shadowkeep was coming up, I was expecting a little bit of a hand cannon buff. Not that they needed them on PC, but that I felt that 140s, 150s, and 110s were in of at least a little bit of a buff on console. And then when Shadowkeep came out, I'm like, oh, this is, oh yes, hand cannons are gonna, my console people, my console brothers, they're going to be able to use 140s and 150s and enjoy the Thorn in the Last Word and Spare Rashes and stuff. But instead, we ended up receiving one change that was, could kind of be interpreted different ways, and then another change to hand cannons, which was just a flat-out nerf. The first change has to do with recoil. If you didn't know, there was kind of a common complaint with hand cannons where people couldn't see what they were aiming at because the reticle didn't reset quick enough. And this is something that a lot of people got used to when you put hours and hours and hours into Destiny. You kind of just get used to it. And if you didn't know, kind of the main thing that separates top tier aim from average aim is just the playtime with the weapons and getting used to the recoil. The reason I say this is particularly with something like Last Word in Destiny 1, I would get a lot of comments on my videos saying that, quote unquote, my Last Word has no recoil. When in reality, the fact was that I spent 8 hours every single Saturday and Sunday playing Destiny, and I had like 100,000 Last Word kills. So I just knew how to manage the recoil really well after 3 years of using the gun. So even though them making this recoil change and making the reticle reset quicker and just changing the recoil in general, although that is in general, can be perceived as a positive change, what I've noticed personally is that because I'm so used to the recoil being the old way, even if it is an improvement, my aim has suffered from it because I'm just not used to it yet. So this is one of those changes where I'm not loving it right now, and it seems to be like a bad change to me right now, but I'm sure in like 2 to 3 weeks I'll get used to it, and then it will be a positive change. So if you are playing on either console or PC, let me know if you like the changes by leaving a comment in the comment section, and make sure to specify whether you play with a controller or mouse and keyboard, and so I can kind of like get feedback from the community as to where everyone's head is at on the recoil changes. The second change can't be perceived in any different way because what it is just a flat-out nerf. So if you didn't know, normally when a hand cannon is made, it has a range, right? The maximum range at which you can do maximum damage. So for example, with a Spare Rations, which is a 150 RPM hand cannon, the maximum range is the maximum distance at which I can do 67 damage per headshot, which is the maximum amount of damage. And then anything beyond that range, I will slowly start doing less and less damage. This was already a pretty dramatic fall off before Shadowkeep, and the main change that they made to range is just that it's even more dramatic. is more dramatic than myself in middle school when I was going through puberty. And that's really bad. The main problem with this is that the drop-off was already pretty dramatic, and because we aren't robots and we can't just like scan our environment and like, oh, my enemy is 57.25 meters away, we don't know like we don't know when we're gonna do maximum damage. And normally this wasn't a very big issue because the damage drop-off, although it was dramatic, it wasn't dramatic enough to the point where you'd say, oh, I think I'm gonna do max damage when I shoot at this guy. And then you end up, you know, you don't end up doing like 60 damage, right? You're like, oh, I didn't do max damage. I did like 65 and I was still able to 3-tap him. And you're chilling, you're good. But now, because it's more dramatic, it's led to a lot more inconsistency because there's a lot more scenarios in which you're thinking, oh, I'm going to be able to 3-tap this guy. And then you challenge him, and at the range, you know, which you thought you'd be doing max damage at, but was, you know, a little bit further than maximum range, or maximum range at which you can do full damage, you end up doing like 59 or 60 damage, which means you're not flinching him as much as you thought you would be, and you're also not going to 3-tap him. And a lot of times that results in you being a dead little guardian. I know that the way I worded it made it sound pretty complicated, but in simplest terms, when you're gauging how far away a person is in a game like Destiny, you're not going to be 100% accurate. So whereas before, if the person was a little bit further away than you thought they were, you're still going to be able to 3-tap them more likely than not. But because the damage drop-off is so dramatic now, if you're wrong by just like 3 meters, if he's 3 meters away or further away than you thought he was, that's most likely going to be the difference between doing 67 damage, which is the maximum damage for his spare rations, and doing like 62 or 61 damage. And that will result in you not being able to 3-tap the person. And for a weapon like a hand cannon, it's not shooting at 5,000 RPM. Adding 1 extra bullet to kill someone is a considerable amount of time, and it considerably lengthens the amount of time to kill, or the time to kill length. I'm so bad with words. At this point you might be thinking that, why did I sound Irish? At this point you might be thinking, oh, you know, Destiny 1's meta was hand cannon meta for most of Destiny 1's life cycle, so why do you care so much about it continuing to be a hand cannon meta? The simplest answer is that hand cannons are just the most fun to use, and I'm not the only one that thinks this. If you think a pulse rifle or a scout rifle or an auto rifle is fun to use, that's fine. But for me and a lot of people, like, hand cannons is what sets Destiny apart from other shooters. And the gameplay that you can have while running a hand cannon and a shotgun, or a last word and a sniper, is what makes Destiny really unique. And as soon as you turn it into this, like, if it's a pulse rifle meta and a scout rifle meta where they just blow hand cannons out of the water, and this is what we saw in year 1 of Destiny 2, is it kind of just turns into this watered down, mushy halo that doesn't have perfect hipfire accuracy and doesn't have perfect midair accuracy. So it's just not as fun, at least in my opinion. That's just my opinion though, and if you'd like to leave your opinion, then just comment in the comment section down below with where you're at right now with the hand cannon changes and just Shadowkeep as a whole. I know that they're kind of approaching Shadowkeep differently in the sense that they're not just pouring out all the content at once. So the release of Shadowkeep has been a little bit underwhelming, but what I'm hoping is that's mainly because they're parceling out content. And at the end of the day, there's going to be more content overall, but it's just coming out slower and more consistently, if that makes any sense. So hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. Hopefully you all have been enjoying playing Shadowkeep, and like the video if you enjoyed the video, or if you agree with my viewpoints, because YouTube really likes 10-minute videos, and they really like it when videos get a lot of likes. So if you did that, that would help out a ton. And I will see you guys in my next video. Thank you for listening. Peace.
Two for one. not ask for a better victory.